I never been too fond of anyone at my local school. They were all a little too rude and boring for me. You see, I grew up in a small area with not many people interested in art like I am. So I had to venture off from home and found myself attending a pretty rural art college. It's sorta like a normal university, except it's full of big-headed people. Now, the only reason why I'm here is because I've always wanted to be an illustrator, a children's book designer of sorts. I'd always taken keen interest in children's media and classic books such as the Arthur series. So when I was sent to live at this college, I was taken back when I realized a lot of the other students here were also all fine artists. You know the kind. The ones who like to splatter paint onto a canvas and claim it's art. I'm not really big onto that sort of thing, but I didn't question it. I settled into a new place pretty quickly. I was sharing a dorm with a few other students. There was myself, a graphics designer named Josh, a film animator called Lily, and then there was one more guy called Daniel. Daniel was one of those fine artists I just described to you. His room was decorated with photographs of distorted women. He always had weird music playing too. It was sort of like trippy 60s music. He also liked to smoke, so his room always smelled like an old ashtray. It was pretty gross. But he was a nice enough guy, and we all got along well enough. We soon became a tightly packed group of friends. It was the start of a new term for all of us, and we all came back from home after spending the summer there. We all unpacked our things and started talking about what we had done over the summer. I went hiking with my stepdad. We went on one of those summer camps, replied Josh. I spent most of my time with my girlfriend. We watched films and watched some plays too, Lily said. She spent a lot of time whining about missing sporty girlfriend. But we were glad they got some time together. I hadn't really done much worth mentioning. I did the usual stuff. I went out to parties and on trips with my family. Nothing really that special. I was just about to pipe up and speak when I got interrupted. I spent my time at the dentist, we heard Daniel say. My father is a doctor of sorts, so he let me come in with him sometimes and explore the hospital. My favorite place to visit was the dentistry. I got to touch and feel teeth. It was cool. We all stared at him, a bit confused. Were you even allowed to have random strangers go into hospital rooms, let alone play with the equipment? We didn't really care. We knew Daniel was that sort of guy anyway. He was known for getting into trouble for the sake of his art. That was always his excuse. We spent our first couple of days getting to grips with our assignments. We all found out what we had to do. Naturally, I had to study some illustrations and just mimic their styles. Josh spent money on a new Mac to do some more design tests, and Lily had to start playing about with claymation. It was pretty nice vibe when we'd all be at our dorms, talking and giving ideas. Well, at least it was nice until Daniel would start insulting us. He'd never been the same since he came back from summer break. He seemed more cold and distant. We assumed something must have happened to him over the break, so we decided not to press him on it. He never told us anything about his projects. In fact, he never even told us what the subject was. It was pretty normal for Daniel to be reserved, but never this much. At nights, he'd just make himself some dinner and then shut himself in his room, crank up the music, and not be seen until the next morning. The rest of us would go out places, like going bowling or down to a local gig. Daniel used to happily tag along, but not anymore. One night, myself and Josh had gone out for a long night. Lily didn't come with us. She said she wanted to see if Daniel was okay, since he hadn't been talking to us for a few days now. We could see her point and complied. She spent the evening knocking on his door and trying to get him to speak with her. Just before we left, we saw his door open and Lily step inside before it was locked again. Brushing it off, we head out. We'd gone to see a movie and then out for a few innocent drinks. It was fun, but we didn't get home till around 2 a.m. When we got back, Josh just said goodnight and we went straight to bed. I hadn't gone to bed yet. I was pretty damn hungry. Josh always made me hungry. So I raided our fridge and found some cold pizza for the night before. I was going to go back into my room when I realized something I didn't notice before. Daniel wasn't in his room and Lily wasn't in hers. Due to Daniel's strange behavior of locking himself in his room until early hours, and Lily never went anywhere without texting us, this was pretty weird. I went over to his door and gave it a knock, and sure enough, the door opened right up. This was pretty weird. I went over to his door and gave it a knock, and sure enough, the door just opened right up. It wasn't locked or anything. I just assumed he and her had gone out with some of his Ponzi art friends. But it wasn't like Daniel to leave his door open like this. I've always been a noisy son of a bitch. So I stepped inside to see if there were any signs that he had gone somewhere. His keys were gone, his jacket was gone too, but he left his wallet on his desk. The other thing that was odd was that he left his laptop on his bed and it was still on. The screen was still lit up. Curiosity got to the best of me. Perhaps it could have been anything. I noticed that he had a USB plugged in and two files on the screen. One was called Thinnest Photos and the other was a singular file image named Teeth.jpg. I clicked on the Thinnest Photos file and there was just pictures of people's teeth and plastic models of teeth. It was nothing interesting. I clicked back off the file and decided to check out Teeth.jpg. The image would forever be burned into my brain. It startled me so bad that I slammed the laptop shut, shaking as I sat back. I wasn't sure if I wanted to lift the screen again, but I knew I had to, or Daniel would know someone touched his laptop. I lifted the screen again, staring at the image for a brief moment before clicking away from it nervously. I then made a decision I needed to show this to Josh and Lily in the morning. This was seriously messed up. I mean, I knew that Daniel was an artistic kind of guy, but this was just insane. I quickly bolted it back to my own room and scoured for my USB drive. I eventually found it and darted back to Daniel's laptop where I copied the image onto my USB. I stared at the image for a little while longer. I was trying to dismiss the image as a mere photo manipulation, but there was just something so wrong about it. Perhaps it was the black soulless eyes, or the fact that whoever or whatever this creature was pulling its mouth in such as weird and disturbing way. It almost looked forced, like whoever this creature was forced to pose in this way. I shook it off as a mere thought and fixed up the laptop so it didn't look tampered with before I went back to my own room. Soon enough, I heard our front door open and the sound of footsteps, then Daniel's door locking. Daniel was back home, but there was no signs of Lily.